Ladies and gentlemen, in just a moment you are going to hear the voice of a man who will tell you some tremendously important facts.
Welcome to the Reality Revolution. I have longtime friend of the podcast, Joe Longa, back on the Longa Life podcast. You can check out, and I'll have links in the description. Joe is an amazing friend and my brother from another mother. He has one of the best beards in the business by far. And I wanted to bring Joe on because Joe specializes right now in dynamic breathing. And that's an area, it's a blind spot for me. I need to learn more about breathing. Of course, I've experimented with breathing, but this is a particular, some particular techniques that we can use for a lot of different variables in our life and can be very helpful. And we can talk about a lot of other things. So how you been, Joe?
I've been absolutely fantastic, brother. Thank you so much for asking. I'm coming back from a recent sit with Mother Ayahuasca, which is something that I've been called to for a very long time. And that was an extraordinarily, truly life-changing experience. So it's been amazing.
Tell me more. Where'd you go for your sit?
I was very, very fortunate to have some friends who are actually local to me, who are medicine servers, and they serve at a place called Pachamama Sanctuary. This actually will be there. This past time was their last time serving there because Pachamama is going to be moving, but it's in New Hampshire, which is beautiful because traveling out of the country right now is considerably more difficult than it used to be. So when all those restrictions happened, I kind of chalked it up that I would never, it would be a long time before I was actually able to get to Peru to do this. And then magically, these people offered me a wonderful scholarship to go do this. And it literally was the single most life-changing experience I've ever had in my life. I was privy to get to have insight into the dark areas of myself that I really didn't know exists. They were stuffed so far down. And in the compassion of Mother Ayahuasca, I was able to witness those things and really unwind a lot of deep programming that has been ingrained into this skull since a very, very young lad. And the changes are continuing. The downloads are continuing post the retreat. And I'm just super grateful for it. Super grateful.
That's fantastic. So it's been a couple years, I think, since you've been on. So tell me about your path since then, what things you've learned and what's inspired you.
Absolutely. So a couple years ago when we first met, I had just recently made the choice to leave a job that I had been working for a very, very long time in the sign industry, the commercial sign industry. It was a career, something I actually went to school for, to be a commercial sign artist, hand painted and all that stuff. And I was just losing my zest for life and the excitement about just every day. And so I had left that job and I kind of left it up to the universe to see where it was going to take me. And I really put a lot of trust in that, which is not something I was very good at in the beginning of my days. I really was a need to know kind of guy. So this was my first leap into the unknown with faith that everything was going to work out. And I started getting involved with the Quantum Healing Collective, and we really made that go wild. And we had amazing people on, and that slowly but surely slowed down a little bit as people began to get back into the lives of their normal work and all that. And then I found myself kind of in that space again, where I was looking for something to do that wasn't my old career. And breathwork had been something that I'd been practicing with some friends. We would get together with a men's group. I believe our good friend Kyle Boyd. We would get together. And we would get together and we would do all sorts of different types of breath work, really not knowing what we were doing. We were just enjoying the experience and really kind of putting it to the boards and doing multiple different styles in a night. And through my podcast, I had a gentleman on named Ben Holt. And Ben is he's one of those people that when I met him personally, just on the telephone, I immediately felt a connection. We talked for about 2 hours and I knew that this human was going to be something special in my life. He served a plant medicine called Bufo alvarius to me, which was an incredibly transformative medicine, not quite as transformative as ayahuasca, but that's for each person to decipher on their own. But for me, that's how it was. And we kept connection. And we had talked about doing breath work, and we had to do breath work prior to that ceremony in order to prepare for letting go. And his particular style was dynamic breath work that he had created. And out of all the stuff that I had done with Kyle and my friends, dynamic seemed to put me in this space that I had never really been in before. And it allowed me to witness the different entities inside my own self, meaning my ego and my soul self. And I really was able to witness how it felt to let go. And I was super blown away by it. It literally prepared me so much for the actual experience of sitting with the medicine. So after that was all said and done, I just had told Ben, I was like, listen, this is next level for me. I mean, everybody should know how to do this. It's bigger than just getting prepared for medicine. And he was like 100%. Yeah, that's and I have a course to teach people. So I enrolled in the course, and it was phenomenal. I was taught how to do dynamic breath work and be a facilitator. I was also taught how to do another form of breath work, which is more personal. It would be with you do it in person. It's called sonic neural. And this particular breath work is a trauma release technique that's very, very powerful, almost as powerful, probably as powerful as any psychedelic experience. Upside is you can get off of the ride if you're experiencing really heavy emotions that you're not willing to deal with at the moment, which is not something you can do on plant medicine.
Right.
So we learned that. We learned multiple different types of relaxation techniques. But to be truthful, the thing that I've used the most and has been most beneficial to me and all of those that I teach is the dynamic breath work. I mean, I do it every single day. It literally helps you decipher. Like I said, there's a voice that pops in when you're doing some of the breath holds. And initially that voice, you can tell it's the ego. It wants to tell you to take your breath, because why are you not breathing without air in your lungs? And with the practice, you have this innate ability to not ignore that voice, but witness it and not pay attention to it and push yourself past that moment. And as you do that, you get into this space that really calms you down, and you understand where your stressors start to come up and how you can actually not allow them to overtake you, which is beautiful. And then there's a moment when the stress response, the true stress response, which I like to call the soul voice, kicks in, and you know it's time to breathe. And deciphering the difference between those two has been so huge for someone like myself, who is used to experience such bad anxiety that these types of things, interactions, would have never happened. It all started with meditation years ago, doing those things. And that's really what helped me to get to the beginning of the surface of anxiety and stress. But as I've dove deeper and deeper into breath work, it's truly given me what I like to call witnessing my superpower. We all have it. Every single one of us, from the moment of inception, we can take that breath, and it doesn't leave until the last day of our lives. Right. And it's something we can utilize to go deeper than you've ever imagined. And it can be quite shocking at times to see how deep you can go just from utilizing the power of your breath. So yeah. It's been a wild ride. It's been a wild ride since a few years ago.
It's super fascinating. I just did an episode, did some deep research, because I was kind of studying Swedenborg, and then I was studying the autobiography of a yogi. And Swedenborg had these revelations. He saw heaven and talked to spirits and all this crazy stuff. And he, in his book, said that it happened through something called inner breathing, where he reached a point where, if somebody was observing him from the outside, he wasn't breathing. And then I found that in the autobiography of a yogi. So there's some sort of inner breath. He called it the subtle breath. There's some sort of inner breath that we reach where it's an interior breath. Now, I don't know, maybe this makes sense. He describes it as a spiral, but it's some sort of internal breath technique where you're still breathing, but you're on the outer edge of mortality, right? Does that make any sense to you?
Oh my goodness, yeah. Because through these practices, I mean, I'll explain it like this. I have a deviated septum. So through one side of my nose, I don't breathe. I don't get a lot of air through that side.
Mhm.
I really have a hard time breathing. I'm able to do a lot of physical activity without too much issues. But one of the big problems is sleeping at night. Sleeping at night became something that was so difficult that I was always mouth breathing. I'd have dry mouth in the middle of the night from me breathing through my mouth. And multiple other things. You wake up, the sleep apnea issues, there's a million things that would happen with it. But as I continued with this practice, I started to notice that at night, I was able to breathe better. I was able to breathe through my nose while I was sleeping. I would wake up in the morning and I could actually tell, because I was like, wow, my mouth's not dry. And I can feel that I slept. I could just feel it, that I slept with my mouth closed. Then I also began to realize that in normal situations, my breathing had slowed way, way down. I was taking much less breaths per minute than I was before. That is something that is literally attributed to the longevity of our lives. We're not overworking the system. Everything stays calmer. We're not in a state of fight or flight when we're breathing slower and calmer and deeper. That was another massive change. I realized I was breathing into the top half of my chest. I mean, it really wasn't, top half of my lungs, rather. I really wasn't hitting that lower portion on a regular basis. And those all tie into what you're talking about. There is this calmness when I'm sitting reading. I find myself in a place where there is not much breathing. It doesn't seem like I'm breathing as frequently as I used to be. And I mean, if you've ever read James Nestor's book, Breath, there is so much to be had and known about what happens when our breathing patterns change from a very high stress, high paced, up into the upper chest. And when it changes down to that lower, slow and deep breathing through the nose, there is literally physical changes in your facial structure. Biomarkers change. There is so much benefit to teaching and training your lungs to not only hold more air, but to do their job more efficiently. So there's so much, it's amazing.
So yeah, the nose is such an important thing. We can breathe through the mouth. It can work, but why is it preferable in for us to concentrate on the nose, and what's the difference that you learned?
So that's a great question. So our nose is actually responsible for warming the air to a specific temperature, very specific temperature. It also moves the air. There's a cilia inside of your nose. And if you're hanging upside down, those cilia still force mucus and air down through your nose. Okay. It regulates temperature. It regulates speed at which the air comes in. And it also has filters. So our nose hairs are designed to filter the air and make it even cleaner, more pure oxygen that we're breathing, more potent oxygen for our body, the stuff that we actually need. Now, that's not to say that breathing through the mouth is bad. It has its specifics in situations when you really need to get those large sums of air in after, let's say, a sprint or any of those situations. Breathing through the mouth allows you to get the necessary oxygen in. But our predominant state of being should be breathing through our nose. That allows us to stay in a rest and digest state. Mouth breathing really signals to the brain that we are in a moment of stress. We're moving quick. It's why it happens after we go for a heavy run or we do a lot of strenuous activity. If you've ever watched anything like UFC fighting, they usually start picking up on the guy that's running out of energy by him mouth breathing. He'll open his mouth, his face kind of comes down, and everything changes. His physiology completely changes. And when you see the guy that's in condition and ready to go and is still fully connected to their body, they're breathing through their nose still. And it allows for clearer thought, just a better overall state in your biomarkers. So it's a much more efficient way for our body to breathe.
One of the big revelations from Wim Hof when I started doing that was that we store oxygen in our body. We're not just immediately using the oxygen that we breathe in. There's like a storage. So when you do that technique, you're breathing in big, heavy breaths. Then when you're holding it, your body still has that oxygen to use, right? So,
Yeah.
So should I be maintaining a bigger gulps or slower gulps if I want to maintain a higher oxygen level in my body? Tell me about that.
I would say for me, the biggest thing I've noticed for myself is that as I've done these practices over and over and over again, they've begun to train my lungs, it's literally a workout for my lungs. So my lungs have now become stronger. And that doesn't mean that I now necessarily take big gasping breaths of air. But what that means is that their capacity to hold and store air and store oxygen has grown. Lung capacity is actually directly tied to your longevity, just like I was saying a few minutes ago. But it's literally like if you measure lung capacity, you can pretty much tell if somebody has really low lung capacity, then their health and biomarkers are going to drop off slowly but surely, or faster than the average person that would be breathing really deep and really stretching those lungs out and allowing them to do the work that they're supposed to do. In our sedentary lives, sitting like this actually compresses our lower lungs and makes it even harder for us to breathe. So I wouldn't say that it would be necessary to take larger breaths, but when we do these practices, really go for it, really pull those lungs open. I mean, ironically, when I was doing my classes, I was one of these guys who I've been doing breath work for so long. I was really getting after it. I would notice in the videos that some people were really just kind of sitting there and they really weren't moving that much. But where I was really like, I was pulling my chest. I really wanted to get my lungs to open as far as possible and fill as far as possible. And through that, it's allowed me to have that storage capacity. And I think personally, I mean, I'm speculating. I truly believe that that's what's given me the ability to stay calmer, breathe through moments that usually would be a trigger for me to go into those short breaths. It just gives you the moment to be able to go and pull that real deep breath in and start calming down. And because the lungs are trained so well now from doing this daily, the brain also responds to it. Okay, we're calm, we're calming down really fast instead of having to go you can almost take that one.
Right.
So yeah.
Couple other questions before we get started. Is there a difference in breath between the nostrils? I do put this in a lot of my meditations. I have noticed some difference in breathing from the left and right nostril. What is your knowledge of that and how it interacts with your consciousness?
That's another beautiful question. Great question. So the different hemispheres of our brain receive different oxygen from different sides, just kind of how your brain, one side of your brain works the opposite side of your body. You know what I'm saying? It does the exact same type of thing. And when you do those, I believe it's called Nodishadna, you're doing opposite nasal breathing, you're providing different amounts of oxygen to, especially for someone like myself who does not get a lot of oxygen out of my right side of my nose. It's blocked up. When I can do that, I can actually stretch my cheek down like this, and I can block the other side. And I can get air in that side now. And that is going to help with the right and left brain. People who are right and left brain, certain sides, I don't have the vernacular and the knowledge to speak on what they do, unfortunately, but different from myself, a person that experienced anxiety really, really terribly. There are studies out there that show that certain sides of your brain not getting enough oxygen will cause stress and anxiety. That side of my nose was not receiving enough air. It was and could have been responsive. I've not gone to a doctor for this, but since I've done these opposite nasal practices, I noticed that my brain, my head feels clearer. I feel like I'm using my brain better. So I truly believe that, yes, opposite nasal breathing, and in practicing that, you can literally, finger goes on the third eye, you take 4 in, hold for a sec, out through the nose, 4. Then for myself, I have that deviated septum. So I'll keep my finger on my nose and my other finger here up in my third eye, but then I'll take my thumb and I'll actually stretch my cheek, and it opens my nasal cavity. And now I can, and just the feeling of getting that cold air through a side that never gets it, alone is rejuvenating. So I truly believe that opposite nasal breathing is amazingly beneficial, especially for relaxation.
So the other is, I've encountered a few people, including my wife, that struggle diaphragmatic breathing. Maybe it's over a long period of time. And it's, so how do people that struggle breathing into their stomach, into their diaphragms? Do you have any suggestions on to aid that?
Oh yeah, this is great actually, because it really helps you understand it. What it does is it almost forces the lungs to do it. So I have people put their hands on top of their head, and when your hands go up like this, it actually forces that breath. One of the first things I want to say before I even say this is that we live in a culture where people like to keep that abdomen in. We want to look trim and fit. And the problem with that is that because of that, people have actually trained their diaphragm to stay in. When we breathe deep into our lungs, your stomach should actually go out. It should almost go in a three-part phase. So I'm going to turn sideways here. Let's see. So your stomach, I'll have my hand up on top of my head, but I'm going to put one here on my stomach just so you can see it. Your stomach, when you take a big deep breath, should go in 3 stages. It should go through your stomach, roll up into your chest, and then up into your head. So it'll look like this. So I really like to have people put their hands up here first, and you'll get that feeling of my air is coming from someplace different. So that initially creates the awareness. Then I like to have people keep the one hand up and then put their hand on their stomach. Then they'll really feel that motion of that diaphragm coming out. And when I have people pull, I want them to literally feel like they're pulling down to their tailbone, like pulling the air all the way down to their tailbone. And when you have your hand up here, or both, or one on the belly, you'll really feel that the abdomen move out. And the more and more you do that, just like the lungs, it trains the body to recognize that feeling, and it will become more familiar. And as you begin to take deep breaths for a moment of relaxation, a moment of stress, you'll find yourself not going and lift it, because most people will come up here and the shoulders will come way up high, and the air is only up here right now. And we want it to go down here first.
Right.
Then the chest can go up. You see what I'm saying? So start with the hands on the head. That's a beautiful way. Actually, before we start the dynamic, that's usually what I'll get people to do, because there's a fun foundational breath that we do to start. And that foundational breath requires us to take that big diaphragmatic breath all the way into the top of the head, hold, and then we sigh out. And the sigh is very important, because that sigh allows the body to recognize that we are in a state of safety right now.
Perfect. So everybody that's in chat, everybody watching right now, let's just stop what you're doing and let Joe guide us in this dynamic breathing. And I promise you're going to get something from this, and I'm going to join him. So it's all yours, man. Okay.
All right, everybody. So here we go. I'm going to start with a little explanation before we actually hop into the audio. I want you to understand some of the techniques before we actually get moving. Okay. So the first technique that I want to teach everybody is what we call foundational breath. This is very important for the body to understand that we're getting into breathing right now. So that breathing is going to look very similar to what I was just showing Brian. We're going to put our hands on top of our head. We're going to take a big breath in through the nose, and it's going to go belly, chest, head. We're going to hold at the top and then sigh it out. It'll look like this. It's going to go. That sigh is very important. It signals to the body we're in a safe space. Ancient cultures would not make noise if they were not in a safe space. So that ancient and prehistoric brain is now taking stock that must be in a safe spot because we're making audible noises. Okay. So we're going to do another one of those in 3, 2, 1. Hold. Sigh it out. Beautiful. Okay. So that's our foundational breath. That is how we're going to start the practice once I get the audio started. Before I do that, though, I really want to give you an idea of what a round looks like. It's going to be comprised of 40 hyperventilated controlled breaths. So I know that sounds a little creepy when you hear hyperventilated, but there's a need to get to the point where the body feels that stress. Because what we're trying to do here is teach the body to deal with stress in a new way. And as we take these deep, deep breaths, the body is going to have that sense of feeling of a little bit of stress and heat and a little bit of angst for some people. That's totally okay. We want that. Okay. This is also going to help activate your immune system, which is a beautiful thing in our current world. So these 40 hyperventilated control breaths are going to look like this. I like to purse my lips and go. So it'll be a big breath in through the mouth, and we're going to let the air fall out. I don't want you to push the air out of your mouth. I just want you to let it fall. And we're going to be taking those breaths, like I said, from way, way deep down in that belly. That's where we want it to come from. So that real big breath in, belly, chest, head, and then fall out. Okay. We're going to do 40 of those. After the 40th, we're going to take a big, big breath in and then let it all out. In that hold, after we do that exhale, we're going to hold the breath for a minute with no air in our lungs. Now, for those of you who have never done this before, that can sound extremely intimidating, and that's perfectly normal. You're going to be amazed at your ability to hold your breath through this, okay? I really want you to push past the first voice that comes through and says you need to breathe, because that voice is a trained version of you that's there to protect you. It doesn't know that you have the power to go further. And you can tell it that by just keeping calm and relaxed and pushing past that point. So we're going to hold that breath for about a minute, okay? There'll be a stress response that arises, and you'll know the difference between the voice that came in the beginning and the stress response voice. It'll really feel like an intense caving in that you really want to take that big breath in. When that moment happens, we'll be signaled in the audio also to take this breath in, so you won't be left out in the dark. We're going to take a big breath in at that point through our nose. I want you to stick the tongue to your roof of your mouth and really give it. I want a big, big breath. Diaphragm, chest, head. We're going to hold again. We're going to hold this for about 15 seconds and then take a few more sips of air. And then we're going to soften the body. I want everybody to just drop the shoulders back, drop your throat, allow your belly to stay soft. And we're going to hold that breath for a minute. Okay. After that minute, we're going to Om out. So once we release that held breath, it's going to be an Om. Again, this is another great way to signal to the brain that we are in a safe space and we are dealing with stress efficiently. Okay. So I will show you real quick what a round looks like really briefly, so that way you're not confused. I'll put all the pieces of the puzzle together and then we're going to get started. Okay. So it's going to look like this. I'll do 3 of the breaths. I'll fake hold and then an exhale. You'll see. Here we go. Here we go. It's going to look like this. Let all that air out. We're going to hold. After that minute, when it signals, we're going to take the big breath in. We're going to hold 15 seconds. Soften the body. Oh. And then a foundational breath. That's one round. Okay, a shortened version. All right. So once I get started with everybody, I'm going to play the first round. I'll check back in with you, Brian, and see how you feel after round one. And then after round one, I'm going to put it through all the 3 rounds. Okay. I'm going to let the last 3 rounds go. Really give it to yourself. A couple things before I get started too. If you find yourself in a place where you feel like you need to breathe before you're cued to breathe, that's totally okay and totally normal. The idea here is not to hit the minute. The idea here is to get to the stress response. So if you find that you need to breathe before that minute, do yourself the service of taking that breath in through the nose very deeply and very hard and hold it way up there. And after 15 seconds, take a few more sips and then ohm it out yourself, and then just breathe in and out through the nose slowly and wait for the next round to start. Okay. It's perfectly normal if you can't make it to the 1 minute. All right. So I'll make it sure my audio's here. Okay. So you'll hear some music. Really become the music. Allow that music to help you break through the stresses, or break through that feeling of needing to breathe. Okay. Really become that music. All right. So you'll hear another voice in there. That is my teacher, Ben. I've tried to use other audio, but this is the best one that he created along with the breath work, and it works so synergistically. So here we go.
With that being said, let's take a nice
here comes
deep
that big breath.
in through the nose.
Foundational breath.
Filling up all the way. Opening your
Beautiful.
mouth and
That's when we're going to take another one of those.
Deep breath in. Hold it at the top. Open in the mouth and sigh it out.
Perfect. Okay, everybody.
And we're ready to begin in 5,
Through the mouth.
4, 3, 2, begin.
Beautiful.
Keep going. You're doing great. Out. Keep breathing.
Push yourself. Beautiful.
You're almost there. Keep going. Just a few more breaths. Three, 2, 1. Big breath in.
All the way in. Let it
And
out.
let it go.
Okay,
And
here
hold
comes
the
our
breath.
hold.
Complete stillness.
Really
Relax.
stay calm.
Find peace here.
Feel the body.
Completely still.
You're safe.
Become the music.
You are in control. Perfectly safe. Beautiful. Keep going. You can do this. You can do this. You can do this. Almost there.
Going to take a deep breath in 5, 4,
Through the
3,
nose.
2, 1.
Big breath in.
Hold the breath.
Hold it. Hold it up.
Fully
Hold.
inhaled. Lungs fully expanded. Hold the breath.
Hold it.
And take a little more air in.
Take some air in. that breath.
Hold the breath.
Beautiful.
Drop the shoulders
Soften
back.
the whole body.
Soften the belly.
While you're holding that breath,
Drop the throat.
soften the body.
Find stillness here. Holding the breath.
Beautiful. You're almost there. You're almost there. Beautiful. Push past your limitations. You can do this.
We'll release the breath in 5,
Nice
4, 3, 2, 1.
Well done. Okay, that is one round. How do you feel, Brian? That's fantastic. Okay, now listen. If you feel that it's really hard to let that ohm out with
Yeah.
a consistent ohm, which is okay because you've never held your breath in that manner before, or may have only done it a few times in your life. That's perfectly normal as well. Something I should have mentioned before we started is that you really want to slow the air down. So if you feel like it needs to come out aggressively, like, oh, just grit your teeth and allow the air to come out through your teeth. You'll discover in the later rounds that actually will get easier. It's all part of the training. As your lungs begin to get more familiar with this, they get stronger and they have the ability to handle that. Okay.
I definitely felt
So you may
the
discover
stress
that-
response. Yeah.
That's perfect. That's what we need. That's what's going to teach you and teach the body that you're in control when a stressful moment happens. That there's a difference between stressors that are necessary and stressors that are unnecessary. And that's why this is so powerful. So these next 3 rounds, I really want you to give it everything that you got. For those of everybody who's watching or in the chat and you're at home doing this, really give yourself the due diligence of pushing yourself hard through these, okay? Really make sure you've got a safe area around you, just in case. It's very rare that people pass out, but it happens. So just really put it to the boards on these next 3 rounds, okay? So I'm gonna get started in a little bit. Here we go. In 3, 2, 1. Okay, it was just foundational breath. Okay,
Great job, everybody.
here we
That
go.
was round 1. We'll begin round 2 in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Begin.
Everything you got. Fill those lungs. From the belly, chest, head.
Push past your limitations. Push past your discomfort. You can do it. Believe in your breath.
Purse those lips, big inhales through the mouth. Beautiful. This is your superpower. This belongs to you.
Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. Keep going. Almost there.
Push. That's it.
Three, 2, 1. Big breath in. And let it go. And
Perfect.
hold the breath. Complete
Become the music.
stillness. Relax. Find peace here. You can do more than you think you can. Push past your discomfort.
If you're feeling like you need to breathe, just drag your fingers across the tops of your legs. Really become the music. You are doing amazing. Keep pushing. Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful. You are stronger than you think you can. You are limitless. Beautiful. Keep going. We're almost there. Keep going.
Going to take a deep breath in. And 5, 4,
Through the nose.
3, 2, 1. Hold the breath.
Hold that breath. We're going to take a
Fully
few more
inhale.
sips in just a couple seconds.
Lungs fully expanded. Hold the breath. And take a little more air in.
Beautiful. Soften the body.
Hold
Soften the
breath.
body. Hold that breath.
Drop the shoulders back. Soften the belly.
Perfect.
Drop the throat. Find stillness here. Holding
This
the
is your
breath.
superpower.
We'll release the breath in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Beautiful, beautiful. Yes. Yes. Foundational breath. Okay, everybody.
Great job, everyone. That
Two
was
more
round two.
rounds.
2 more to go. We'll begin the third round in 5, 4,
First lips.
3, 2, 1. Begin.
Beautiful. First 2 rounds got you in the driver's seat. Now we're taking control. No longer have to be a victim to stress. You can manage it. And this is how we do it. Beautiful. Beautiful. Go real deep.
Push past your limitations. Push
Beautiful.
past your discomfort.
Yes.
Three, two,
Through the nose.
1. Big breath in. And let it go.
Let it go.
And hold the breath. Complete stillness.
Hold. Complete peace. You can do way more than you think you can, guys. This is an absolutely amazing practice. You're doing phenomenal. Keep going. Training the mind, training the body. Beautiful work, everyone. Beautiful work. Push yourselves.
You can do more than you think you can. Push past your discomfort.
Mastering ourselves here. Becoming the driver of our human avatar.
Keep going. You're almost there.
Push. Amazing. Amazing. Well done. Well done. Keep going. Perfect. Perfect. We're almost there. Here it is.
Going to take a deep breath in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold the breath.
Hold it. Good.
Lungs fully expanded. Hold the breath.
Stretch those lungs. Really fill them.
And take a little more
Sip that air in. You can fill them up all the way.
Hold the
Soften
breath.
that body.
Drop the shoulders
Come
back.
like putty.
Soften the belly.
Be water. Liquid.
Find stillness here, holding the breath.
Beautiful.
We'll release the breath in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Nice big O. Beautiful. Beautiful. Foundational breath.
Great job, everyone.
Okay,
That was
here we
round
go.
3.
One more big
One
one.
more
This
to
is
go.
the one.
We'll begin our 4th and final round.
This
in
is the big
5,
round. Here we go.
4, 3, 2, 1.
Push it.
Begin.
Push it. Yes. Everything you got in this round. Everything you got.
This is your final round. Give it everything you've got. Full inhale.
Beautiful.
Exhale. Full inhale. Exhale. Filling all the way up and letting go. In, out, in, out.
Beautiful, everyone. Keep going. Training those lungs.
You're almost there. Keep going.
Yes, yes. Almost there.
3, 2, 1. Big breath in. And let it go.
Let all that air out.
And hold the breath.
Hold the breath.
Complete stillness.
Feel the body. Allow and let go. You're perfectly safe and perfectly free. Beautiful. Everyone's doing so amazing. Keep going. Beautiful.
Keep going. You're almost there.
You are becoming the master now. The ego has become a friend, not a master anymore. You're driving the car. Almost there. Almost there. You can do this. You're almost there. You're almost there.
Going to take a deep breath in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Take that. Yes. Big breath in.
Hold the breath.
Hold it. Hold it. Good. Stretch those
Lungs
lungs.
fully expanded. Hold the breath. And take a little more air in.
Fill them all the way. That's it. Now
Hold the
soften that body. Soften the body.
Drop the shoulders back. Soften the belly.
Feel the peace.
Find stillness here, holding the breath.
Yes, yes.
We'll release the breath breath in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Beautiful. Perfect, everyone. Sigh it out.
Congratulations, my
Great job, everyone. That was phenomenal. You might be sweating a little bit. You may be feeling slightly euphoric, and that's what it's all about. Great job. How do you feel, Brian?
Feel great. Like you said, I'm sweating. You can see a little bit of sweat coming up.
Yep.
And it took me a couple times to because I the first 2 times I didn't make it, and I can hold my breath, but maybe the breathing before and after creates that stress response, right?
Mm-hmm. And ultimately, it's the stress response we're trying to get to.
So where the panic attack, like, oh no, I'm holding my breath. You gotta,
Yeah, and because once we hit that stress response, we can witness how much further we can push past that, and we can really decipher the difference between, for me personally, especially, I can decipher the difference between the two entities that speak in my head. And I feel like a lot more and more people I've talked to have that same thing, where they got like their head and their heart, and the battle can be very difficult to decipher which one's telling you what. And there's something about this breath work that really lets you hear the head first, and you can kind of go, okay, I got you, buddy, I can keep going. And then the heart will click in and be like, okay, it's time to breathe now. It's time to breathe now. And it's the difference. And that moment gives you a deep insight into the true self. And as we have that, you take it out into the world, into normal everyday micro stresses that we all deal with our cell phones, our bosses, our children, whatever it may be. And you can witness the first one that comes in that wants you to go off the rails, and then take a calming breath and go, that's all right. That's right. I don't have to listen to that guy. I don't have to listen to that girl. I don't have to listen to that thing. I can just move past it. So great job. I'm always really proud of people after they push themselves through that. So great job.
Well, wonderful, man. Thank you so much for sharing that. It does make me think, how can I regulate my temperature? This obviously will heat up a little bit your body. So
yes,
if I want to cool down my body, is there a way of breathing that can cool down your body?
I would say, yeah. There any of the relaxation techniques, like a box breathing. Box breathing is very simple. You're going to breathe in a box. So you can do it. I prefer through the nose. For some people, again, their mouth just happens to be an easier way of breathing, whether it be deviated septums or anything like that. But through the nose is best. And it's going to be a 4-second in. And I'm sure people have heard of this before. The Navy SEALs use this. It's a 4-second in. So to go. Then you're going to hold for 4, 2, 3, 4. And then we're going to exhale for 4. Hold for 4. And start over. And that's why we call it box breathing, because you follow in that box. And what happens is it puts you into a meditative state. And as we get into a meditative state, the body naturally cools down, because it's beginning to go into rest and digest. It doesn't have to have the furnace on. It doesn't have to shunt that blood out to our extremities to get ready to run or fight. It brings it all back into the organs and allows them to work efficiently, calmly, and smoothly, thus cooling us down.
Perfect. A side note, one technique I was taught once, you can make your tongue into like a straw. And when you breathe in like that, it also cools you down a little bit. It's like a quick way to cool down if you're heated, like, in a house, it's hot, right?
Yeah, I actually really like that. I've never tried that before, and I'm going to utilize that, because every now and again it gets really hot in this here house.
Yeah. I mean, or you're sitting in bed and it's like just a little hot. Try that. Sometimes it's the body that's heated and not necessarily the environment you're in. So
yeah,
right.
Another thing I'd love to mention too, for people who may take this practice and utilize it on their own, little things can affect your breath holds too. So it's not that you can't do it, or that your lungs are in bad shape or anything like that. The smallest things can affect it. Food can affect it. Caffeine's a big one. If you have caffeine on board, caffeine just makes these breath holds way more difficult than they normally are. So for me personally, my favorite excuse me, time of the day to do this breath work is about an hour after I wake up. I allow the nerves to kind of get going a little bit, allow everything to kind of wake up in the body, and then I'll sit down and do this practice. It's great for before workouts. It's great for before meetings, because it really puts you in this space of understanding yourself and your biomechanics. So it's just a great practice, and I'm glad everybody put themselves through it.
You do it before meditation, or do you separate it from meditation?
Oh, beautiful. Yes, this is a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful way to get the body ready for meditation. Because if you were practicing along with us, you may have noticed that the body goes into a very meditative state in that first breath hold. You can almost feel this wash of tingling and this sense of like a flood of come throughout the body a little bit. That feeling is very similar to the really deep states of meditation. So it's a wonderful way to prep for meditation. I love using this before meditation. It's definitely deepened my practice and allowed me to manage some of those really wild thoughts sometimes that come through, and not allow, because, you know, even as many years, I've been meditating now for about 12 years or so, maybe, yeah, about 12 years. Every now and again, there's still that moment that I grab onto a thought and I want to run with it. Yeah. But having this practice before really allows me to go, oh, there you are. Nope, not this time, and allow it to go by.
Right.
As Ken Pataki would say, a good friend of mine, the voices you're hearing are nothing but a bunch of monkeys slamming chains on the outside of a bus that's rolling down a hill that's never going to stop. It's just going to keep going and keep going. And if you try to grab onto it, you're just going to burn your heels trying to stop it. So you just wave and watch it go by.
Wow. Well, thank you so much, man. I feel great. And it's going to be a great way to start my day. And I definitely plan on integrating this, and I'm really excited to hear what everybody else went through. If you struggled, like Joe said, don't worry about it. Don't be self-critical. You can do this again. It gives you a place to start, gives you a place to work with. Put it in the comments what your experience was. I'd love to know how it went for you. And you can also check out more about dynamic breathing from Ben Holt, as you mentioned, on Instagram at Connect and Evolve. You can also contact Joe. Joe is a great facilitator, and thank you so much for expanding my understanding of breathing. And we got to shorten the time from the next time you're on, so we can talk some more. So, all right, brother. So hope you know, and so everybody, Joe Longa, the Longa Life podcast, definitely check it out. And thank you so much for coming on, man.
Thank you, Brian. I appreciate this opportunity. Thank you to everybody out there who participated in this. Brian, I will send you this video so you can do this personally. And cool. Yeah, man, I'm grateful. So thank you so much, man. Thank you.
Welcome to the Reality Revolution.